everybody, this is Rick Mantei, and in recent days we've lost Charlie Kirk, and whether you're a Republican or whether you're a Democrat or a liberal or conservative, whatever you are, this guy was a family man. He had a family, he had a wife, he did everything by the book as far as being a good guy. He did everything you're supposed to do. He wasn't a criminal. He paid taxes. He was a law-abiding guy. I mean, he did what he made the mistake, though, of we're in a country right now where things are pretty polarized, and a lot of the things he said and did were very inflammatory. Of course, he was 31 years old. He was a young guy. He was very influential in Trump being elected in his second election, and he was primarily going around to colleges and young folks and trying to get them to get active in the conservative movement and getting them to vote, obviously, for the Republican Party. All right, that's all good. He was a Boy Scout. He reached Eagle Scout. If anybody knows anything about that, that's pretty high up in the pecking order. So he did that. He started Turning Point USA, and it was a rival to liberal groups such as MoveOn.org. Is what when he started this. I read where his net worth was approximately $12 million, which ain't bad for a 31-year-old self-made. He done a pretty good job from that. His income continued to rise as his company did better and better and better, which is also a good thing. However, if you read about what this guy did, and again, I never read his books. I wasn't a huge follower of her, but if you read what the guy said and what he did, a lot of it was very, I wouldn't say inflammatory. From what I understand, whenever he debated people, he always hugged them at the end and said, good sport, and he agreed to disagree. However, some of these things that he did, if you read about this, were inflammatory. What does that mean? It just means that if you get more flies with honey than you do vinegar, and so when it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it. And that's been one of the big criticisms of Trump is it's not necessarily his message, it's the messenger. And like for instance, he considered George Floyd a scumbag. Well, now, you can take that in a lot of different ways, but to a lot of people in this country, he was a rallying point for a cause, and now to call the guy a scumbag is just inflammatory. And there's probably a better choice of words that could have been used. He said you cannot have liberty if you do not have a Christian population. Well, okay, that's an opinion, but again, it's not so much what he believed as what that statement's basically saying is that anybody here that's not a Christian, is not good for the country. That's the way the other side takes it. And probably a better way to phrase that and a better way to have approached it with that. He said in a 1923 speech that all men are created equal in the eyes of God, but not all cultures are created equal. To say that, you get attacked in every direction, but excuse me when I say that Western civilization is the best that humanity has ever produced. It's an outgrowth of the Bible. Well, there's going to be a lot of people that's not in the Western Hemisphere that's going to disagree with you, and there's going to be a lot of people that have done pretty well outside the Western. Again, it's kind of like when I was at the Air Force Academy, I went to my first West Point game. Now, I wasn't a player. I was just a student that just went to observe. And, Air Force won. Now, here I am in their dorms. Here I am eating their food. Here I am I'm just a young kid. And what do? As soon as we win the football game, I'm running around to all these West Point guys. Nanny, boo, boo, we kicked your butt. All this kind of stuff. Well, guess what? That night I went to bed and sleeping in their barracks at West Point. And I woke up about an hour after I'd gone to sleep, tied to a mattress, naked, and in snow. So they took all my clothes off, and they put me on this bed, tied me up, took me outside, and threw me face down into the snow. And that taught me a lesson, and that is, okay, you have an opinion, and you're saying things, but they took it bad, here you are, eating our food, staying in our room, and now you won, and now you ought to do is rub it in our face. So I learned a lesson from that, and that is, sometimes you just got to temper it down a little bit and not be so much in your face. And when I read what Charlie did, I think Charlie was a good guy. Like I said, he had a family, he had his own beliefs, and there's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with agreeing to disagree. But when you read a lot of these things, like for instance, he was opposed to abortion, including rape for children as young as 10 years old. So you get a 10-year-old that gets raped, and he's against abortion for that 10-year-old. You know, that's kind of, you know, no matter how you want to look at it, that's kind of extreme. But you know, the guy had no problem telling you what he thought and the way he did it. He said that the Great Replacement strategy is well on the way every single day on our southern border. It's a strategy to replace white America with something different. He posted a similar statement on Instagram along a screenshot of a Fox that says 7.2 million illegals into the United States under Biden, an amount greater than the population of all 36 states. Okay, again, there's ways that you can say this stuff. You know, he said that Martin Luther King, in a speech, he said he described him as awful, not a good person. You know, half the people in this country thought he was great. We've got a national holiday named after him. And again, it's just, listen, I'm so sad that guy got shot. I mean, but what it's telling you is we're in a country right now that's so polarized that you've just got to, you know, you got to be careful the way you phrase things. You know, because there's people out there that are taking you literally for the stuff, and they're going to whack you. I mean, look what's going on. There's almost hardly a day goes by now somebody doesn't get assassinated, murdered, killed. And, you know, that's just really, really terrible. He said in January 2024, when he's talking about DEI, he said, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Those are the kind of things that people are going to take the wrong way. And when you're on a national stage and you're going to all these different cities and states across the country, you just got to be careful because everybody's not thinking straight. He said Jews have been some of the largest funders of cultural Marxist ideas and supporters of those ideas over the last 30 or 40 years. You know, he's talking about fentanyl, and he said, you know, fentanyl's almost 100% because of China. He says, you know, the Russians aren't providing that, it's coming from China. And on it goes. I mean, you can look at all these different opinions that the guy had, and nothing in the world should cause anybody to get whacked, no matter what their views are. They're not hurting somebody. You have your views. You should be able to have those, and not to, you know, to be in fear of it. But we're in a country where that's not the case. So you just got to be careful what you say and how you say it, and try to phrase it where you know, it's not going to be quite so inflammatory as a lot of these words. Rest in peace, Charlie. You were a great guy, great American, and I hope we don't see any more of this. So until next time, you guys take care of yourself.